Welcome to the Dream is in Your Hands Educational Youth Conference, dropping jewels on the next generation. I go by Art. Today, I will be speaking with Sarah Martinico from Los Angeles about stepping into the future in the tech industry. Sarah creates the future through the lens of tech. She founded and created the first ever royalty-bearing stems for sales for major publishers catalog via Avid Pro Tools. She is currently the manager of marketing and partnership for MD IIO. Sarah, welcome to the conference. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I love your background.
I don't know where I am, but I'm somewhere good.
I love it. I love it. Manifestations, everything, right? So you gotta think of being in there and
always.
Resistance. But Sarah, let's start off with you created a product that was first of its kind. Did you believe that it would be as big as it is when you first started working on it?
It was something that I had created, and every time I said it to someone, like my supervisor or whoever I was working with, they kind of just gave me the weird eye. They're like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And fast forward like a year, it was bigger than I imagined.
Yeah.
It kind of like it inspired a lot of new technology and new ideas for the music technology world, with Avid, with like companies like Native Instruments, who are like music production platforms. So it's like, you never know, you just have to go for it and see what happens. And hopefully when you do launch a product or something new with an artist, we just kind of keep going and building new ideas and marketing off of that.
Yeah. First, let's explain the product. It's a loop, right? Like some loops. Can you explain that for people so we can have some clarity on it?
Yeah, I know it's confusing. So the product is basically stems from a major label catalog. So the stems are basically like the broken down parts of a song. So like the bass, the kick, the guitar parts. So what we did was we went into the back end of our catalog and took some of the major songs. I know you know the song "I Like to Move It,"
Yes.
which was in Madagascar years ago. So that was one of the main ones. And then we basically went in and edited whatever we had. So it's, 4 bars of edited loops, stems. You can download them, put them right into Pro Tools, Cubase, whatever your DAW is.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. So technology is just dominating the world, the industry, just different industries now. So where do you see technology leading us in the future? Where do you see that?
Oh God. Well, one thing for sure is better collaboration. I've seen it within apps like Jamcard. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like the LinkedIn for musicians and producers. Clubhouse is one as well. So I think it's a great thing to have collaboration. But as far as tech goes, I think we're going to see some really cool new like disruptive marketing things for artists and songwriters. That could be like the new way to make money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with like quarantine. I think quarantine kind of like reshaped everything with artists and how they distribute songs, and just I think in the entertainment industry and in general. Like, did you notice any changes throughout this whole process of like COVID and everybody being online?
Yeah, I think a lot of artists, producers, and companies had to figure out how to make money that was not your typical way. So of course we saw like a lot of live streaming, but then it came down to like content, not necessarily like what you're posting, but it's like, well, how do I make money off of the content? So that was one thing. And then just reshifting like brand partnerships was one thing, because you had so many companies just stop operating. So it's like, well, how do you make partnerships where you can still benefit in the long run, even if crap hits the fan? You know what I mean? I think we're still going to see a lot of shifts no matter what, but I think we're just like scratching the surface with way to monetize right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned money, because I think money is it's a conversation that a lot of people mention. It's something that is brought up a lot. But do you think do you feel like people are getting more into the tech industry because of money? Do you see that happening a lot, or do you see that more they're following their passion, or this is something that they love?
Yeah, not sure about the tech, but I've seen a lot of people dig into like the creative side of things a lot more because honestly, a lot of people lost clients last year or they lost their job. So in a way, it was good for people to reconnect with what they love doing. So I think we saw a huge surge in that, whether it's like promoting your new music, getting back to playing guitar, getting back to your roots, what you used to do when you were a kid. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know about tech, but I hope so. Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay. So can we talk about your story? Like, how did you get into this industry?
In a very weird way, honestly.
Wow.
So everyone's story is different, right? It's just
Yeah,
about
of course.
so no, I graduated from Berkeley and I studied music production and engineering and studied guitar for almost 20 years now. And when I graduated, I moved out to LA and I was like, I got to start paying my bills. Like, I don't want to be a runner at a studio making $2 an hour.
Yeah.
So I worked for BMG. That was my first job in LA. And they basically had me doing everything. I was doing catalog marketing. We had like 2 million copyrights that we were in charge of. So
Mhm.
it was like managing assets from like super old tapes, getting them into the system, dealing with sample uses. So anyone who was doing samples, making sure it was in the system properly, doing marketing. And then I ended up in brand partnerships, which was like the product you were talking about earlier with Pro Tools, which
Yeah.
was huge. So after that, that's kind of like what catapulted me more into the audio tech world for partnerships.
Mhm.
So after that, I worked with BMG for 4 years. I went to Native Instruments, working directly with like producers, songwriters, film scores, major publishers, helping them develop audio content that would integrate into their hardware. So I think the partnership when I was at BMG with Pro Tools was like what catapulted everything into the tech world. But it's like I already knew the audio world. So it was kind of like I came back home in a way.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
How like I'm kind of interested in your day-to-day life. Uh
Hmm.
how extensive, like how hard is it for you from when you wake up and you do your job to I guess a normal clock out day? What does that look like for you?
Well, currently I'm consulting, so I've been doing my own
I
thing
saw that.
for
Yeah.
about 2 years. Yeah. So a normal day is I try to reset mentally before I get to work. So I usually work out or coffee always. Um,
Go wrong.
Usually I start around like 8 or 8:30 and I plan out my day. I always plan it out. It's like, 2 hours with this client, an hour with this client. I have to be super organized. Otherwise, like I just can't function. And it's very challenging when you're not working with a corporate company where you have a team to support you.
Yeah.
It's like your mind is doing double time because you have to deliver so much content, so much work by yourself, which is the hardest thing as a consultant.
I was gonna say, I'm assuming that transition would
Mhm.
have been difficult, right? From moving from corporate to now you individual, you being the system, everything is moving through you. Does that get overwhelming, like you mentioned? Like,
People question you, especially being a female or a minority in
yeah,
any industry. They're like, well, what do you know about X, Y, and Z? Can you really deliver? I get the weirdest questions sometimes, and I'm like, look at my client, look what I've done. That speaks for itself. I don't need to tell you how I do things. Um, so it's always a challenge, but I think, when you stand firm on what you do and you showcase your clients and their successes, then they kind of back off, or you have the choice to just not work with that person if they're just being disrespectful. But it's a challenge. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
You probably get that a lot too, huh? No disrespect, but you're a woman. What do you know? That's gotta be difficult to deal with on a daily basis. Like how do you handle that mentally? Like, do you find? Yeah, you go ahead.
No. I mean, I just grew up in the man's industry. That's just how
Yeah,
it was, being a guitarist and going to Berkeley, it was like 90% male. It's something I got used to, and I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but there are times where it does throw me off, but it's just having a solid like heart or a wall, like things don't really mess you up too much. And if they do, you just got to regroup for a second and come back. But it's like if you know your stuff, you don't have to prove it. You
Mm.
just show up, you tell them basically through your conversations what you do. Usually they respect you right away.
Yeah. So we have a question here from one of the students. They want to know, how can someone interested in the tech industry, um, um, from a creative standpoint, get involved if they're not tech savvy?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I don't know if I can answer that properly. Um,
Let's try.
I mean, I think it's really about understanding the current trends
Okay.
and then seeing where this person is at with their skills and how they can kind of marry the two together.
Mm.
Um, and then also just getting experience down. It's hard to break into any industry, especially in Los Angeles because it's so competitive. So it's just about getting your in somewhere and just diving in head first. Like my experience at BMG, I had no idea where it was going. And then, like I said, things just started to tie together. It was marketing, asset management, sampling. I had the background in audio production, which led me to the tech. But nowadays it's like there's so much involved with tech that you're probably going to be involved with it anyway. So just look for those opportunities and see where you can grow to enhance a company or a department. That's what I would do.
Yeah, in our last conversation we had Deanna, and she talked about active learning, and I'm sure
Mhm.
rapid learning, being able to adapt to something very quickly, is a big part of this industry, right? Like I would assume you talked about being able to adapt to new trends and hopping onto it quickly. Like, can you speak to that a little more?
Oh man. Well, active learning is it's frustrating because it's like sometimes you just want to like sit back and not work at all.
Yeah.
It's or passive learning, whatever it's called. Um I think being involved with a lot of different clients has helped me in that aspect, but then I've also signed up for some newsletters where it just sends me some amazing information, and it's just, I just save all these tabs and I just go through them. I did that this morning actually from, a label, but I think just surrounding your people who challenge you constantly, whether it's producers, whether it's people in the sports field, it's like you can learn from anyone, doesn't have to be whatever your industry is.
Mhm.
Just absorb and learn. If you have questions, ask. It doesn't make you look stupid. Like you got to learn somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you keep mentorships, people who are giving you the right guidance and helping you, groom you. Like I think those are the main things that we've been covering throughout this whole conference, and you just mentioned it a lot. So thank you for that. So I guess the question we want to ask is, the dream is in your hands. What does that mean to you, Sarah?
The dream is in my hands. Well, to me, that means you can do anything you want. And it's so true. When you see famous people like Beyonce and like, keep going, you can always make it happen. It's true. When you have that work ethic
Mhm.
and you have that mindset of like you can do it. What is it called? Like the power of attraction or law of attraction.
Law of
Like
attraction,
it's
yes.
all about your mindset and how you set up your life. So it's literally you're in control of everything.
Yeah.
What you do from the time you wake up to when you go to bed. And besides that, for me, it's like how do you reset? Because if you don't reset and recharge, then you don't have that ability to move forward and attack that dream.
But I feel like it's so hard to keep that focus with all the distractions that is social media and watching other people's highlights, and you feel like you don't belong, where
Mhm.
you're at, or you're in the wrong position. Like I feel like it's difficult. So how are you able to like stay focused, with everything, all the distractions to get to where you're
Yeah,
at?
I don't like social media because I think it is fake for the most part.
Yeah.
It brings this fake reality. But I notice like when I'm bored or if I'm just not interested in working, like I find myself on social media. But it's like as long as you have that mindset of like what you're seeing is probably not real,
Mhm.
you can probably get something decent from it. Like, oh, I love that marketing campaign, or something.
Yeah.
But just to know where you're at mentally and know why you're doing something is really important because it's just a like what do you call it? like when you keep finding all these new videos, you keep going down like the rabbit hole. So maybe we should just delete it off our phones. That's what I would like to do. Yeah.
No, that's true. I agree. I'm not a big fan of it as well. But Sarah, we're coming to the ending. And if you can please share with us just how we can get in contact with you. I know you said you're not
Oh,
actively on
okay.
social media, but LinkedIn, do you have a LinkedIn? Is there a way people can get in contact with you?
Yeah. If you just Google me on LinkedIn or Instagram by my name, what's printed here, Sarah Martinico, all pop up. So you're more than welcome to connect with me on social media.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. And
Thank you so much.
for everyone that's tuning in, please make sure to follow Create the Dream Code on all socials and keep the hashtag Dream Conference 2021 and stay tuned for the next segment. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, bye.